You're listening to the Free to Be Mindful podcast, which invites you along on a journey to learn of mindful living, grow in mental health, and inspire through personal growth. In a world where we can often feel much stress and overwhelm, this podcast provides bite-sized tips and real talk conversations, empowering you to embrace mindfulness and nurture your full potential. I'm your host, Vanessa De Jesus Guzman, educator, licensed professional counselor, entrepreneur, and mom. I'm passionate about helping others live life with peace of mind and ease of heart without losing their, well, here we go. Hello and welcome to the Free to Be Mindful podcast. I hope that you're feeling good, looking good, and doing better in this world than you were yesterday. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with our guest, life coach and author, Chris Jensen. Chris is the best-selling award-winning author of Living All In, How to Show Up for the Life That You Want, and Grace Yourself, How to Show Up for the Sober Life You Want, which is coming out in a few short weeks. Chris has worked with hundreds of sought-after creatives, soldiers, entrepreneurs, and small businesses internationally to close the gap of those thoughts between where they are and where they want to be. Her training involves working alongside and with Tony Robbins and his teams of results coaches, the #1 personal development and peak performance strategy company in the world. Chris is not only a coach, but she also has the experience of having a master's in counseling psychology and more than 20 years of experience of helping high-achieving perfectionists navigate performance pressure, rewrite narratives, and overcoming self-sabotage. I self-disclosed when we were recording that I too fall into that category. Chris is from LA and she lives with her husband. They've been married for over 30 years. They love to ski, golf, and be with their horses and adventure outside, especially now that their 3 children are now thriving adults. It was my pleasure to speak with Chris, and I know that the message of self-worth that you're going to receive is going to be an amazing one. I hope you enjoy as much as I did. Here we go. Chris, welcome to the Free to Be Mindful podcast. I'm so glad you're with us today.
Oh, I'm so glad to be here, Vanessa. Thank you for having me.
Yes, my pleasure. And before we even get into the introductions, you have a beautiful background. For those of you who are watching us on YouTube, I see palm trees, I see a lot of lights, maybe a pool back there. Where are you from?
I'm from California. I live in Los Angeles, and this beautiful background here is Palm Desert. We're there. We just had the fires in Los Angeles, so we're there helping with relief efforts, but we also took a break from the smoke.
Yeah, I am so thankful that you and your home are okay, but I can imagine that the neighborhood and the surrounding areas, all of the devastation that has gone on. So my heart goes out to you guys.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, and I am a little jealous, I would say, of the background because this morning here in North Jersey, it was 8 degrees. That is a single digit number 8. So it's a quite different from your backdrop there.
Yeah, I'm not complaining.
All right, Crystal, go ahead, introduce yourself and share a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, thank you. I'm Chris Jensen, a coach and author. I'm also a wife. I've been married nearly 30 years now. We have 3 adult kids, all in their 20s. And so,
Beautiful.
like I said, I'm native Californian, third generation. And I have a master's in counseling psychology. When I was getting that master's, coaching wasn't a thing. It was therapy and counseling, which is wonderful. But when coaching came on the scene, I got really excited and I went back to school and got a coaching certificate. So I'm a board certified life coach, and that's what I do now. I focus on what works more than what hasn't worked in the past. So I work with a lot of people getting where they want to go. I'll refer them to therapy for healing or really getting in and working on those past things. But um, what I'm focused on is helping people start from where they are right now, knowing they're exactly where they need to be. They have everything they need right now to start and move toward the life they want. So I'm working as a coach. I wrote 2 books. The first one I wrote, I wanted a book for my clients, my coaching exercise written down for the clients. And then I got the writing bug and wrote a second book, which is what I'm here talking to you about, which is very exciting for me. And that book launches February 18th in a few short weeks. And it's called Grace Yourself: How to Show Up for the Sober Life You Want.
Awesome. I can't wait to get into the book, but let's chat about a couple other things before then. Such an amazing, amazing story. And at 30 years or so being married. Beautiful, beautiful. So thank you for sharing with us about your life a little bit. And I'm pleasantly surprised that we have that background as far as having the master's degree in the area of counseling and psychology. And I can imagine that having that background helps a lot with your coaching practice now.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. It does.
For those who always seem to wonder about what is the difference between therapy and between coaching,
Mhm.
therapy, I'm hearing it's more on the past, it's more about what's happened, kind of like what's brought you to this place. And you mentioned that coaching is more future oriented and where you're going to go from here.
Right. It's more about what works, not what hasn't worked in the past. So.
I love that. What type of people do you typically work with?
Right. So my niche is I'm trained to coach anyone, anywhere, anytime. But as we both know, right, over the years, you find what you really have a passion for. And my
Yep.
passion has become working with performers, high performers, creatives, people that are high achievers that may get stuck in perfectionism and self-sabotage. That's really because we're experts really at serving the person we once were. And even though I have this training, I also used to be a rigid thinking perfectionist. I'm a high achiever and yeah.
As I raise my hand too.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's why I'm excited about the new book because I am sober. I've was been in recovery for 18 years and I was
Amazing.
addicted to alcohol. And so that was something that was not really private on purpose. It just never really came up. I mean, people knew I didn't drink, but I never really shared my story with a lot of people other than my sober community. I think that's important. We need to be in community. So
Mm.
um but now I realized in order to share these coaching tools, there's so much that goes hand in hand with addiction and perfectionism, rigid thinking, control, right? Really, we want to control our state and the way we feel. But that translates into business. When I'm coaching business clients, it's really after all these years of doing this, I'm thinking it's the same thing, these same coaching tools and these same principles. Yes, it's going to be different. I was addicted to alcohol, so there's going to be some physical differences, right? But I wrote this book not just for people addicted to alcohol, but people who are struggling with any stronghold that's keeping them from getting where they want to go. So
Mm.
in order to do that and present the tools, I share my story with addiction and then hold people's hand, the reader's hand, and show them how they could apply it to whatever may be tripping them up.
Beautiful. And thank you for sharing of yourself. I had mentioned to you before that I think sharing of your story definitely helps those who are reading it. And, it's one thing to have that addiction to alcohol, but hearing your explanation and who you work with, right? The people who are perfectionists, who overwork, who have a little bit of that perfectionism and rigidity to them. I find that sometimes because I'm going to include myself in there, we self-identify with that, but we are sometimes addicted to work. What would you say about that?
I agree, right? Addicted to work and also addicted to chaos and the addiction of more, right? Filling. I think that it's okay to like we, especially moms. I mean, that's my experience, so that's what I can speak to. But as a mom, there was so, you don't know what to plan for. You finally get one phase figured out and then a new phase comes, right? Oh, now they're
Yes.
teething and now they're a teenager and you're doing everything. Anything for the first time is out of your comfort zone and difficult. But a mom, everything's for the first time. We fall into the pattern of filling empty space, but not
Mm.
it's not wrong. It's just what we've known. And so sometimes people need a coach or a friend to say, you don't, you needed to be in that phase when the kids were little or when whatever, when you started your business or but that's not happening right now. So it's okay to move into a new season and not be addicted to the chaos, right? We can set that down and have a new rhythm to life. So I go into that in the book, and even the difference of rhythm and balance, right? If we're striving to strike a balance, it's another, I mean, think about a balance. Like you kind of have to be perfect to have something balanced,
Right.
right?
And is
Like,
that a possibility to be perfect?
right. So it's another thing to strive for. So I talk about navigating tension or rhythm, finding a rhythm that you can dance to, that there's no perfect formula for it. It's just different in different seasons, and really being open to, um, do I need to be in this pattern of filling all my empty space, my empty drawers, my empty closets, the empty um, emotions, whatever it is, with more right now, or is there room for rest and something else?
Yeah, so much overlap and aligning of the work that we both do. Before we get into that, I have to tell you, I don't know if it was conscious or subconscious, but you're talking about motherhood, and then the word chaos came up. And I was like, yep, that sounds about right. Because motherhood can bring upon a lot of chaos. And even, I'm a mom now after 10 and a half years. I had a baby, and I noticed that even though I've done it once, it's still brand new because she's totally different than when my son was like, and just finding her rhythms and her routines and what she likes and doesn't like. And I'm like, oh, the way I used to do it is not working. Now I have to find something new. So there's always something to move us in a different direction. But being that your children are in their 20s, you
Hmm.
mentioned before,
Hmm.
how do you find that has either gotten better, worse, or how is it different than having the chaos of having littles?
Yes, that's a great question, because I wasn't aware of it. Like when the youngest went off to college, we were empty nesters
Mm.
for the first time, and I I didn't stop to think, I've heard other people go, I need to prepare for empty nesting. It's a new phase. And I just, maybe because I'm a coach and I'm very forward focused, and I have a lot of tools. I don't think I stopped to think about it for myself in the same way I would have helped a client stop, pause, and think about it. And this is in the book. So after almost 14 years of sobriety, continuous sobriety, I got tripped up again and thought maybe I didn't need to quit drinking. Maybe it's okay to have a drink. And I still don't love the word relapse, because it was a very conscious, positive decision, but I did decide to drink again. And, I won't go into detail, but in short, it was terrible. It went horrible because people like me can't drink. And so that's what inspired me to write the book. Part of that, I believe, what was that being addicted to the pattern of just having every single space in my mind and schedule filled.
Well,
And
mhm.
when all that stuff I'd been working to hold together for 20 something years was now holding itself. The kids are really great people. They're wonderful
Amazing.
humans. They're successful in what they are pursuing, and their friendships and their relationships. And so I didn't pause to think, that's what we worked so hard for, right? I didn't pause to think, good. I just thought, well, what's next? And I picked up golf, and I don't really like golf I mean, I like it, but I don't love it the way my husband does. So I just thought, well, I should probably have a drink, because that's what people do when they golf. And
Mm.
that's just a very small example, but really at what was underneath all of that was this just not pausing to say, now that what I was holding together can hold itself, what do I want to have time for, and what do I want to do next?
Yeah, I'm so glad that you shared that because, and again, I know it's vulnerable, but thank you so much for sharing of yourself, because it hopefully can help moms depending on what stage of life, because we do fall into, like you said, this rhythm, this dance of I have to do this and I have to do this and I have to do this. And when we think we have it figured out, it changes. And then our to-do list changes, but still there's something to do. However, there is magic, and it's so important to find those moments to pause, to just be aware of what's happening, to reflect on our growth, on other people's growth, to pivot or change should we have to. And so often we're in this go, 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 do mode that I always say we forget that we're not human doings, we're human beings
Love it.
the space to just be, instead of go having that go, go, go. And it seems that unfortunately something happened, but you got yourself back, but you found that you didn't have to fill that space as you had to when they were little.
That's exactly right. Yes. And I am one of the lucky ones. I don't wish that little field trip on anyone else. And
Mm.
hopefully the book will help with that. Like here I explored this. Here's what I learned. Maybe you could read this if you're thinking about doing, going out after continuous sobriety. Right.
Yeah, because we are really here hopefully to learn from each other, to
Mhm.
grow and then to inspire other people, which is my motto at Free to Be Mindful. It's learn, grow, and inspire.
Mhm.
And you've done that with your book called Grace Yourself.
The theme of the book really is self-worth. And I say many, at the beginning of the book and at the end, there's nothing you can do or not do to change how valuable you are. So I really want people to know you're worthy if you're addicted, and you're worthy if you're not. You're worthy if you're sick. You're worthy if you're not. You're worthy if you're a stressed out mom. You're worthy if you're not, right?
Yes.
Nothing we do, like you said, we're not doings, we're beings, and nothing we do can change our worth. And it can feel like it does, but the truth is, we're still just as valuable. So I really, there's exercise in the book to help people bring that from the subconscious, like negative self-talk we may be having, to the conscious mind, to really practice these narratives of believing the truth, which is we're worthy no matter what. We don't have to get clean to take a bath, right? You can start exactly from where you're at right now. Nobody, I hear so many, whether it's clients or just friends, say, I do want to start drinking less or start eating better or whatever it is. I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll start in the new year, or I'll start
Mhm.
when. And I think we have this mindset, a lot of us, that it's going to be terrible to make a shift like that, that it's going to hurt. There's going to be pain. And so what I do is I really get leverage on people like, what's the pain of not doing it? Right. And so you typically, if it is something we need to change in our life, the pain of not changing it will be greater. And so there's exercises in the book for that way, getting leverage on yourself and realizing that it's not, I'm giving this thing up. I don't think of myself as quitting drinking. I think I'm gaining sobriety. I've gained this life I would never have imagined had I not been living it and seeing it with my own eyes. And that's really what I want for people to get, if anything, whatever the stronghold is, that's my wish for people in reading the book.
So, so powerful. And I love that reminder for everyone, but especially to moms, because we're always being sized up, whether it be against each other or from one stage to the next, or what another mom is doing, that we are worthy with what we have. And we don't necessarily have to take away in order to do that, but we can gain things in different ways should we choose to shift and not necessarily, as you said before, fill that empty space, but just notice where we are and I guess enjoy, would you say, the
Mhm.
moment of those spaces?
Yeah, have peace, be content,
Yeah,
have a peace about it. And
beautiful.
peace, by the way, like the Bible talks about peace like a river. Well, rivers can be rapids and rushing
Mm-hmm.
and crazy, and there's rocks. They keep moving forward, though. They don't stop, they don't go backwards. So really, like that's how I think of peace is we can be in the craziest throes of motherhood or whatever life phase we're in and still have peace with how it's going, not how we expect it to go.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that because I think that when we as people really think about, well, it should go this way, or in the Disney fairy tales, this is what it looks like on TV, this is what they do and what they experience. And the reality is that there really is no should. Our lives is our lives. And we just have to kind of really go with the flow, thinking about a river,
Mhm.
knowing that different drafts are going to come and go, different speeds are going to come and go. And yes, there'll be, little pebbles or big boulders, but we have the power to keep going. And it doesn't have to stay like that forever. But there are different hurdles of life because that's what kind of makes it beautiful, all of our different experiences.
Exactly. And it's natural. Motherhood's natural, fatherhood's natural. We were born sober. Sobriety is actually natural. It's our natural state. So these things, we don't need to be afraid of them. We don't need to buy into all the information about self-help and all these things of how we should be doing things, right? We can just be at peace with who we are naturally.
Yeah. And I heard you say that you have exercises in the book that can help people go along and really reflect and question and hopefully grow from the space that they're at now.
Yes, it's very interactive, a lot of great questions that will get people tapped into their curiosity and own resourcefulness.
Awesome. And now I'm
Mhm.
imagining, as you stated, empty nester, but a lot still happening. You had to pour of yourself to write this amazing book. And for those of you who don't know the behind the scenes of becoming an author, and we discussed a little bit, and I'm an aspiring children's author, but there's a lot of work to be done. Not, I mean, once the book comes out, yes, but it's a lot in the before stages with the pre-orders and all of that. So, with everything happening, how do you take moments for yourself in this stage of life?
Mm, for me personally, I have a routine that, and again, if I have to shift the routine one day, it's not gonna throw me off. But what I strive for is I wake up, I exercise, and I do my kind of meditation during my morning run. It just centers me. So that's my thing. It's spiritual for me. I don't run with music. I just listen to what I need for that day. And then I'm a morning person, so I do interviews and work in the morning, and then every night I have good quality time with my husband. We do what we want. We make food or watch shows or just talk or go on a walk, and then it that's my thing. It fills me back up and I'm ready to do it again the next day.
Sounds so amazing. And I'm so happy that you said you meditate while you're running. In my mindful living framework, everybody thinks that you have to meditate with sitting crisscross applesauce and oming and floating away on a cloud. And it's really about integrating it within everyday lives. You can be mindful whenever. And
Mhm.
I find, well, right now it's 8 degrees, so I'm most definitely not running outside. But when it's nice outside here in the Northeast, I find that when I'm moving my body, and
Mhm.
really, like you're saying, being present and listening and just being aware of the outdoors, my most creative and best ideas come then.
Absolutely. And I'm 55 now. I've found the older I get, the more true that is, where I need to be moving my body for the synapses to be firing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, it's all
Yeah.
connected. It really,
Yeah.
really is all connected for overall health and wellness.
Exactly. And I have tried the quiet room or whatever. It just doesn't work for me. It's okay if
Yeah,
it doesn't, if someone's listening, it's
absolutely.
okay. There's no formula for how to meditate or pray or be mindful. It's what's going to work with you and your brain and your body.
Yeah, most definitely. And now that you are in the stage of life that you are, and I ask this question to everybody, if you could be remembered for one thing in your life, what would that one thing be?
That would be loving God by encouraging his people to know their self-worth.
Powerful, powerful, powerful. I'm so happy that you said that, and I'm happy that your book and your work have to do with that because you're not
Mm.
only doing it for yourself, but impacting so many others.
Mhm. Well, you are too. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
these
Thank you.
conversations. Yeah.
Absolutely. So your book, it is in pre-order phase. Folks, it's so important if you found this of any interest and if you think that it can help you or a friend to pre-order the books because it really helps out the status of the book, would you say? Is that the right
Mhm.
way to say it once it
It
finally launches?
Exactly. It helps the impact. It helps a book, at least right now, the way the algorithms work, it helps it make bestseller lists. And those bestseller lists help spread the impact of the message. And that
Right.
all has to do with pre-orders. All those numbers go in before launch day, the week of launch week.
Yeah, so if you're hearing this today, the day after, whenever it is, you can check out what Chris is about to share with us where we can find the book to pre-order to help make the impact that much greater when it does launch. So where can we find Grace yourself?
Right? It's on at online retailers now where books are sold. And then you can order direct from me too, which is where you can see a lot of good bonuses I'm offering between now and launch day. And that website is graceyourselfbook.com. That
Awesome.
website's up till February 18th. And then after that, you can always visit my website, chrisjansencoaching.com.
Yes, because you have more to offer than just these
Yep.
two amazing books.
Yes. Coaching services and I love writing articles for different things. And that's all. I keep my website pretty updated with all of that.
Amazing. Well, thank you for the work that you're doing. We'll make sure to include everything in the show notes. And even if it's past the 18th, you can still get that book and hopefully it'll make an impact in your life or whomever you gift it to. So, Chris, thank you so much for joining us today on my very cold, your very warm morning. I wish you all the best with the launch of your book and so much success.
Oh, thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you, Chris, once again for sharing of your time and of your message with us. And for today's guided meditation, I'd like for you, the listener, to stop, pause, and reflect. Think to yourself, when is the last time that you got the chance to just stop and pause and reflect? Were you able to, even if 30 seconds before you leave your car, just stop and take a deep breath, or notice what's happening around you, or notice what's happening in your mind, that chatter that sometimes takes up so much space? Although when we do that reflection, we are still doing something. We are being in those moments. We're being human. We may not be moving our bodies and doing things, but we are being in our natural state. So if your mind runs and wanders, that's okay as long as you're able to bring yourself back to the present moment, not the thoughts from yesterday or the worries about tomorrow, but just being here. Stop, pause, reflect, and as Chris stated, know that you are worthy. Not because of what you do, but simply because of who you are. Friends, if this message resonated with you, please take the moment and share it with someone that also needs to hear it. That'll help expand the message and the impact that the podcast and the work that Chris does as well. Thank you so much for joining us. And remember, in a world where you can be anything, you are always free to be mindful. Till next time. Free to Be Mindful exists because of viewers and listeners like you. If you're enjoying the podcast or felt this week's show resonated with you, please take a moment to leave a rate and review on the platform where you catch your favorite shows. That quick and easy act allows me to see what you're enjoying so I can deliver more personalized content that focuses on learning, growing, and inspiring. It also helps others find the podcast too. Don't forget to subscribe so you can listen along next week. And if you can do me the favor and share this podcast on social or with a friend who may benefit from the message shared today, that would be truly appreciated. In the meantime, I welcome you to follow me on social media across all platforms at Counselor V. De Jesus for more fun content. And remember, my friends, in a world where you are free to be anything that you want to be, you are always free to be mindful. Catch you next week.